Welcome back to another episode of War Selection. Now, this is a team game that Rave Manatee sent me, and he sent me this because he used amphibious tanks from Poland, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. You know, I remember seeing these amphibious tanks now, but I'm sorry, but unfortunately, we don't see them until I don't see them until like the very end of this match, and the game is basically over by the time Amphibious sinks, so I'm sorry. But the reason I'm recording this is because of the sheer teamwork that I'm gonna say this is Yellow Team, like on this side, because this is an island map as you can see. But the teamwork that Yellow Team put into this, it was amazing. I really love the teamwork of this match, which is actually one of the main reasons I'm recording it. Okay, so by the way, just real quick, if you look at the map, it's saying that I'm this person, but that's mainly because um, whenever I do the replay code, it's like it says like, oh, you're this person when you're like, no, I'm this person, and so I swapped it over to Yellow Team Rave, which is, he is right. Wait, where'd he go? He's right here. We're mainly going to focus on this team. This is the team. This is the primary team, Yellow Team, which is why I'm going to say it. And then this is I'm going to say is Red Team. So in the start, everything they realize that okay, this is an island map, because islands, and I always love island maps. Island maps are my favorite. Ever since they added them in, like I was desperate for island maps, but you never got one until they finally added them. Now I'm like, yes. Now all I'm waiting for is an island free for all. I probably would love an island free for all, like an actual game, not like one that was um, just created in a map editor. So as the game starts out, everyone's getting ready. Unfortunately, the enemy team they're really smart, so they start building tons and tons of docks, and they actually got a lot of docks up before Yellow Team does. But Yellow Team has an ace up their sleeve, and that is this. They got really smart. They were really smart. So they immediately built towers, which I wouldn't have done in the beginning, because then it would immediately know. You immediately know that hey, there's enemy territory here. They built on our side. However, it isn't because it's quite far away. It doesn't seem like they know yet. So that's really good for Yellow Team. They were able to get a foothold and a wall. So that means even if they get attacked right at this push over here, the enemy wouldn't be able to unseat them, unlodge them from here without getting some siege equipment. So that was really smart of them. And it wasn't just one person. It was, let's see, 1, 2, 3 people, 3 different players of Yellow Team actually came over here, because you can tell by there's 3 different towers here, and they all started building here. So as you see, we're gonna see three different players all on their side who don't even know that they're here yet, and even if they did, it wouldn't matter. So we're speed up time a little bit. And see, we already got some patrol galleys, patrolling the coastline, looking for docks. Standard tactics. People will immediately try to get the cheapest ships and patrol, and as fast as you can, patrol the coastline, destroy as many docks as possible. But it looks like right here, this guy has tons and tons of docks, which are producing fishing boats and junk ships, which is quite common for someone who goes East Asia. East Asia is probably one of the best. It has some of the best naval units because of how cheap and easy they are to use, and they can also shoot while they move, which makes them really powerful. And if you get the upgrades for the junk ships, and you can get upgrades also for the little, not the turtle ships, but the warships, like little gunpowder guys on them, if you have the archery range, which it doesn't seem like this guy does. He doesn't have an archery range, and you really do need the archery range if you go East Asia and you are planning on getting a lot of naval, especially junk ships, because you need the sharpened tips. But right here, as you can see, the galleys come over here, starts destroying the docks. He realizes this and immediately sends junk ships in. I would have kept moving. Okay, so whenever you have junk ships, you have to keep them moving, especially with galleys. Galleys are like really susceptible to junk ships unless they stand still. If the galleys, if the junk ships just stand still and let the galleys, sit in one location, they will be torn to shreds. It will absolutely be torn to shreds. But it looks like he managed to defeat them due to the sheer number of junk ships he had. Anyway. We see some more over here. These guys starts bringing, a lot of siege ships. We got some siege ships. We got some more junk ships, galleys, patrolling the coastline. Meanwhile, over here, we are seeing a massive force here. And as you see also, like, they built a wall here. They realized and they start building a wall. Now, what's interesting, too, is that this wall comes from this guy. I can tell because, like, it's if you look on the map, it's a green wall. So that means that this guy wasn't doing his job. Cookie Cloud wasn't doing his job. Now, something you have to realize in island maps, if you were on the flanks, if you were like this guy on the flank, he does a great job. He solidifies, mainly because he was already here, but he solidifies his flank. Cookie does not solidify his flank, and you allow this to happen. And you see, look at the sheer amount of structures being built here. We got siege equipment, archery ranges, barrackses, royal shooting ranges. All this stuff should never have happened. We got towers, defenses. They're even stealing the metal that is here. Meanwhile, our enemy all they have is a wall and a few archers as defense. As this is going to be a major thorn in their side. You would have to focus all of your resources to unlodge what is being built here. Over here, again, there's a lot of naval skirmishes in the map, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get to them all. But you see, this is what happens. Look, right here. He stopped moving his junk ships, and they were immediately torn to shreds by galleys. Junk ships are the weakest ships, but they are incredibly cheap. As you all know, junk ships are incredibly weak, especially against galleys. One galley is worth 2 junk ships. But however, junk ships can be constantly spammed out fast. They're cheap, and if you use them correctly, they can be devastating to enemy lines. You see right here, they came over here. The towers destroyed a lot of junk ships. Meanwhile, this is happening. So I can see their pings. I can see both teams' pings, by the way. As we Darkholm immediately takes some bombardier ships, starts destroying the gates. They even managed to push them back here and build towers here. You see. So they destroy the gates, and as you see, all the forces are realizing this. They start hammering down on these guys. Meanwhile, over here, the major force of siege ships and galleys, or technically it wasn't even a major force, it was more a small force, is immediately overwhelmed. Amazing teamwork on their sides. It does not look like either side control the seas yet, unfortunately. And that's big. In island maps, controlling the seas is literally winning the game. You cannot win the game if you do not control the seas. But it's mainly because they are not able to control the seas because of this. Literally this. Look at this. They even managed to make elephant houses here. Like you cannot win the seas without taking care of this first. It's just impossible. Even if you bring in industrial troops, it would require industrial tanks, or industrial armor to unlodge this. You cannot unlodge this with infantry. Infantry would take way too long to do this. Again, we have more skirmishes. Now, unfortunately, okay, so when it comes to galleons and junk ships, the galleons will almost always win, no matter what. They don't have like a set, like an inner circle where they can't shoot. Like sea ships, you see, they can't shoot from, like if they're right here. Galleys too, and it doesn't matter if like you try to run away with junk ships. The galleons can always just keep shooting the junk ships as they run. They don't need to like stop to move forward and then turn and then immediately turn constantly. Unlike the galleons, as you see, they have to get a little bit closer. It requires a lot of junk ships, and you have to get them close and just keep shooting them to have like constant. And you also have to focus fire them. So if you have junk ships and you're fighting galleons, focus fire the galleons. Don't let them shoot on their own. You have to focus fire them and get close to them. Stop moving, get close, and focus fire each individual galleon. You cannot let them just shoot on their own. You have to take them out immediately. Over here, we have elephant rammers, rocket cannons. Look at this sheer force that's happening here. Now, unfortunately, this is taking a lot of resources, but it is well worth it, in my opinion. If you can establish a foothold of infantry, and you can just basically ignore the sea, but you can still fight back with ground units. You basically already won the fight. It doesn't matter if you lose, because then you no longer have to focus on multiple fronts. Now, bad thing about this is the fact if you focus on land, primarily on land, because you see there's three different people here, although there's technically two actually fighting, because it's only the East Asian and the West Asian. You see Ali's and Big Man, they're the main ones fighting this, and these guys are using, you know, naval forces to help. You are also abandoning the sea, because you're focusing all your resources on the land, so you're just abandoning the sea for them to take it. So all they have to do is take over the sea, and then they're able to concentrate their forces into this. But as you see, also, it doesn't really matter too much, because it would take a substantial force to enlarge this, especially now they got industrial, and they're making howitzers and other types of units here. And also right here, see, this is why you have to keep moving. This is why you have to get close, because warships and junk ships are large, are quite large, and they're gonna have to like go next to each other. But had these guys kept moving forward and right into, they could have kept shooting and moving as well. Like they'll all be able to shoot, and at the same time, and they won't have to go around each other all the time. As you see, there's a lot of. You see right here, there's a lot of the enemy team, red team, does not utilize their naval force as much. And see, they're trying to mass them up, which is understandable. However, this force alone has 3 turtle ships, a few warships, and junk ships. Should have been able to at least take out some of these the dockyards here. And you see some of these people still have medieval docks. This guy does not, because he quit. Oh, I didn't remember Luke's there for some reason. But I guess it doesn't really matter at this point, because a lot of them have industrial docks. The turtle ships are the only ones that can shoot industrial docks and damage them, but it would take way too long because turtle ships are horrible at it. But they do launch raiding parties here, so that's good, but it's nowhere near to enough of damage. It was just a stone. Like you see, they're only attacking the coastal, like what they can, like the attacks of opportunities that they can do, but not doing any real significant damage to the yellow team. Meanwhile, yellow team over here is focusing a lot of his strength on taking out these guys. Now they are taking way longer than expected. Than I would, this should be necessary. But again, it is expected considering the fact that they are fighting them on their own turf and they don't have access to large amount of workers. They would have to constantly ship workers over here to build fast enough. But if they're stuck with the same amount of workers all the time, then they're going to have to build very slowly. But it doesn't really matter because they have a lot of units here, you see. A lot of barracks here that they can utilize. And they did start building universities here, so now they will be able to actually defeat their opponents by getting more workers and barracks in and then more units. I see here too, they managed to defeat this guy finally, Cookie, who barely did anything to actually defend. He tried his best to build a bunch of towers here, but honestly, the team should have produced way more and dislodged this as fast as they can. Because as you're gonna see later, this is gonna become their downfall. The fact that they allowed this to happen on their side. Meanwhile, PWR, which I think he's still in, but he's allowing his naval forces to be attacked. They do have battleships coming in, and they haven't attacked. I realize both teams haven't really attacked the fishing boats to as much as they could have been. And neither side has actually produced that many fishing boats either. Like, yes, they're producing a lot here, as you have all these different people producing fishing boats, but these are all from different groups. See, we're gonna change colors. We got, these guys over here. These are producing. These are, this is blue teams trawlers. These are green teams, purple. These are all these different colors. They don't have as many docks as, not docks, fishing boats as they could have. However, it is also understandable because you kind of have to be careful with building fishing boats, especially in very, very hostile waters. These are extremely hostile waters that we are dealing with. So it's understandable as to why people aren't going to build as many fishing boats, because they don't want to ruin their food economy just because they relied on fishing boats so much. But they should have been, again, producing, they still should have had a substantial number of fishing boats on their side. Right here, these are actually Rave's machine gun trawlers. He does a good job by getting close, but again, he doesn't get as close as he could. He doesn't keep them moving constantly. But it's also understandable as to why, considering the fact there's two fleets here. I would have definitely just focused on the battleships instead of these, because it really doesn't matter. But these no longer matter. They're weak. Turtle ships are the only real threat. But he managed to destroy them real nice, but again, he basically lost all his fishing trawlers. And 3 battleships still survived. Now, of course, more fishing trawlers are on the way, and as you see, we already got some dreadnoughts into the water, so I guess it doesn't really matter too much. But he should have focused more on the battleships. Meanwhile, this is happening. We have Zambaroks, light cannons, and Polish. What are these? KDs. These are full-on KDs. So that means two people are already in IR2. And as you see, Rave is also in IR2. So already, as you can see, this is basically game over. There is nothing the enemy team can do anymore. They allowed this to happen. All these forces here, they allowed it to happen. And it's funny, these Zambaroks too, They didn't even come from the enemy. Come from here. They didn't even come from here. They were brought here by steamboats. Because you see, there's no stables here. Now the enemy team, red team, does do a good job at they manage to get some mounted guardsmen and finish these guys off, but the KDs are still here. Honestly, though, the KDs really do need to nerf. They do 100 damage, and while they are incredibly weak, again, especially against anti-armor, anything that is anti-armor, these KDs just fall like flies. They still do, but they're just so goddamn powerful, man. Yeah, look at that. These KDs, goddamn, the Polish KDs are just way overpowered. They can be taken out versus like I fought them. If you guys saw the stream, I destroyed so many these KDs, these tankettes, with artillery, that they were no problem because I was playing Turkey, and Turkish light cannons just obliterate these tankettes. But it's these tankettes can be produced faster than light cannons, and they're cheaper too. Meanwhile, the enemy team is still trying to take the sea with what they have, but they're using forces that are way too expensive. Meanwhile, they're also dealing with the enemy, which is literally in their backyard. They literally are pushing here. But it doesn't even matter. Oh, it doesn't even matter. Look at their forces are being obliterated. They even have submarines, and as we see here, look, amphibious tanks. Amphibious tanks. Let's take a look at their stats real quick. So we're gonna slow down time a little bit. We'll take a look at the amphibious tanks. So they move very, very slowly in the water. They actually move slower than battleships. They do 90 damage, which is pretty good, but I mean, I expected them to do a little bit more, but for a tank that can do this is expected. They take 12 seconds per shot. They have 40 armor thickness, 30% accuracy, in the range of about 170. So all in all, a really, really good tank. Let's see how expensive they are. 500 food, 600 materials, and 800 metal. That's actually really, really, really easy. Or really, really good. For a tank that can move in water. I see the yellow team just sweeps through virtually no challenge. These guys, I hate when people do this. If you are on an island, you do not need this. Right here, you see these walls? You do not need this. If you are on an island, you do not need this. And actually, what I just realized, I still have health bars. Right here, you see this? You see these towers? You see these towers? You see these walls? If you were on an island map, you do not need this. If you acquire this, I'm sorry. If the enemy is on your side, you're already dead. There is nothing you can do. There's no point of building walls at all. There's no point of even building tank traps at all on an island map. If you were on an island, if you were on an island map, do not build a single wall. Don't bother building walls. Do not even build a single tower near your TC, because if your TC gets destroyed, and you, especially if you are backline, if you are on a backline island map, and your TC gets destroyed, that's basically that basically means that the enemy team already won. Because there should be no reason why the enemy should even be on your side. If you have to build hedgehogs, you have to build any form of fortification that is not near the water, you've already lost. There is no point of even trying. Right here, though, this is actually interesting. So they actually managed to make it onto land. Now, what's interesting too is you have to click up, moves on water. But I think you only have to do this. They have to be on a shoreline, though. So that's what I realized. They have to be on like a shoreline. To actually click this up. Like right here is a nice little shore that they can use to use. Which is really good. Yeah, right here. Yeah. This is basically game over. This is game over. I really do like these amphibious tanks. They go really slow though in water, which is explained again. They're amphibious tanks. They're not technically meant to be in water. They're meant to like only traverse water. Now I wonder if they can actually. Well, they actually, they probably can actually. I would say, can they shoot while in water? Which, it would make sense that they could. I really like these tanks though. They do really good. They actually, I just realized they have a little machine gun on them too. Actually, I'm pretty sure. Wait, do they? No, never mind. That was just the look. And that is game. Again, they also brought in Air Force here. Okay, so honestly, the only competent player on the enemy on red teams was Kentasu, the guy who had Japan, and then this guy in the back, Nathan. Because Nathan willingly came all the way over here to build the wall and sent support this way. And Kentasu constantly built a navy to try and, destroy the enemy. But, their other teammates didn't do much. This guy built stables, barracks, and a wall for literally no reason. The Russian guy built tanks and didn't really do too much. He had, a lot in the way of fishing boats, and he was trying to defend. He was trying to fight, but yeah, the rest of the team. It was amazing teamwork on this side. They had the Wonder. They constantly sent in. They all constantly attacked with their ships. They even had 3 different people come over here and solidify their claim on this side. And here's the thing, even if they lost, no, even if the fight was so fierce at sea that no matter what they did, they couldn't, launch an attack, landing here. They couldn't, like, say, they took all these battleships or maybe like a sea force lined up in the key locations, and yellow team could not attack the opponent. Because the fight at sea was just so fierce, they couldn't do anything. All they had, like, they wouldn't even have to worry about anything. They just, yeah, I see the amphibious tank. I just realized. This was like in chat. Sorry about that. They had this location here to constantly bring in troops, and even if they couldn't, even if the fighting here was fierce, so for example, let's say they just couldn't break through this location. Say they locked down this area, and it would require more forces to actually push through. They had a landing here. They had an opening. They had they were stealing the enemy's resources. Damn, those dreadnoughts. That dreadnought just got sunk. Anyway, sorry about that. They had an opening here. They had a landing. They had units here they can produce. So even if they couldn't build, or even if they were so focused on this side and they just couldn't like break through, or they couldn't get through the sea, they couldn't get through like all this section right here. Say they just couldn't get through it. They had an opening. They had an easy route to constantly send in troops. Like, oh, let's put some docks here, get some steamboats, get the troops over here, constantly moving south. Load them up, put them right here. Perfect landing spot. There'll be no need for a D-Day. Because they would have successfully dislodged... I'm sorry, they would have... I'm sorry, not dislodged. Lodged themselves into the opponent's rear, and then the enemy would have to constantly fight, pour all their resources into the navy and their southern flank. So amazing work on this side. They did everything correctly. They all had the same idea. They coordinated amazingly. They were constantly fighting. Now, the one thing I did notice though is despite the fact that they were fighting at sea, they weren't nearly doing as much as at sea. They constantly had skirmishes at sea. They weren't aiming for each other's docks as much as they could have been. Again, they were attacking the docks they found, but not nearly as much as they could. So, for example, this guy right here, Kintasu, had they taken out his docks, had they focused more on his docks and destroyed all these docks that he had, and came up here and destroyed these docks too, they would have immediately had the advantage. But there wasn't much in the way of actual naval fights. Again, it was all like skirmishes, really. It was all like who can destroy more ships. And they did attack, the coastal areas they were able to find. Both sides did. But there was no real massive engagement that they could use. Like, there was only like 2 real engagements of like large naval forces. But again, it was all mostly just skirmishes. So again, really nicely done. Let's see, any final thoughts? Yeah, I think they did good actually. Like, the only thing I'd probably say is they probably should have patrolled the coast a lot more. Both sides honestly should have patrolled the coastline a lot more. There were many times where the boats were constantly going past each other, and even when they did find each other, they would fight, and then either one fleet would be destroyed. Again, these were all like skirmishes, really. They weren't pouring as much into the navy as they could have. They could have done a lot more with the navy. And fought way harder, but they just didn't. Yeah, I think that's it. They also should have placed a lot of docks here too. They should have placed docks here and got more fishing boats. And basically, if they wouldn't have done that, actually, they would have controlled the entire southern flank of the sea. They would have controlled the entire South Sea. All of this right here, if you look on the map, all of this right here, they would have controlled completely. It would be dominated by Yellow Team. Had they been able to build more docks, had they built docks here, produce ships from here, the entire southern area would have been completely dominated. The northern area, however, was, I would say, dominated by red team. Because it wasn't really attacked at all until the very end. This guy had a ton of fishing boats here. And the middle area was kind of like just contested. So, again, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and I'll see you all next time.